Hola Tieros, welcome back to Transfer Tango. Welcome back to another edition of the show where we talk the song and dances Arsenal transfers. Before we begin, however, I wanted to kind of give my thoughts and prayers out to Diogo Jota and his brother Andre Silva's family. Anyone who, knew Diogo or Andre and was touched by them or, just had them in their lives. It's a sad thing. They passed away in a tragic car accident. Very young, 28 and 25. Diogo leaves behind his wife and 3 young kids. He just got married, a couple weeks ago. And as a person, not even a football fan, as a person, when you see something like that, it's tragic and it's sad, especially someone so young. I'm 32, so seeing someone younger than me pass away so tragically with a life in front of them, it's just very sad to see. So my thoughts and prayers go out with anyone who was kind of affected by Diogo or Andre's passing. I tried to do a video, the next day, and I just didn't feel right kind of putting out content when something like that has just happened. So I wanted to kind of wait. And this is the video that we're coming out with tonight. So I just want to say, if you have any unfinished business, if you have anything you want to tell someone, please take the time to do it. You never know if you'll actually have time to get those things out, to right those wrongs, to speak to the people you want to speak to. So make sure you do that. Life is short, and take advantage of everything that you can while you're here. It's tough to move forward after that, but it is a transfer show, so we will. But as I said, my thoughts and prayers go out with Diogo Jota, his family, and everyone touched by their tragic passing. So, Arsenal are doing transfers, finally. We finally moved on to the transfer window. Last show, I said it was opening, and lo and behold, we've made 2 signings. Not just one, just 2. We have signed Kepa, as we knew we would, but we also signed Zubimendi, as we knew we would. Zubimendi's got to be the longest transfer in history. It took 6 months. Craziness. We finally got him, though. We have been linked with a couple more guys. And, of course, it wouldn't be an Arsenal transfer window if we weren't strongly linked to someone else from Chelsea. I thought Kepa was going to be the only one. He was not. We're linked with someone else with Chelsea, and we'll go over it in a minute. So, starting off, let's talk about who we signed. So, Kepa. I spoke about Kepa in the last video. Solid signing, £5 million. He should just get, Carabao Cup games and, the odd game here or there. But if David Raya goes down, I would much rather have Kepa than Alex Runnison or Neto. I know that for sure. So I'm fine with that. We're going to probably pay him some big wages because that's what Arsenal does. But he's a solid number 2, and I would take him over kind of who we had in the past, to be honest. So, not surprising. Welcome, Kepa. And then Zubimendi. Zubimendi had to have been the longest linked with player I think I've ever been a part with Arsenal. We would link with... Usually when we link with someone that long, it doesn't happen. Like, we would link with, Locatelli. We would link with Vlahovic, and it just didn't happen. But we did get Zubimendi over the line. I think a lot of people were afraid when Real Madrid were like, or when they said Real Madrid were circling. Because usually when Real Madrid circle a player, especially a Spanish player, it's really tough. Just like Barcelona. If Barcelona circling, Real Madrid circling, and they're Spanish, it is very tough to beat those teams out once they've had their sights set on a Spanish player. We got him over the line, though, and he's a good replacement for the outgoing Thomas Partey. I'm not going to speak on Thomas Partey. We know what's going on with him, but he's definitely on the way out. Arsenal done with him, and we needed a replacement, and Zubimendi is a very solid replacement. Do I think he's going to be Rodri? Probably not. Will I think he'll be a solid signing? I do. I do think he'll be a solid signing. I just want to temper our expectations. He's not going to be... I don't think he's going to be a world beater in his first year. I mean, Declan Rice wasn't really a world beater for us in his first year. He's turned it on, but I think it will take some time. But we needed someone with some experience Zubimendi's been in the Spanish team. He's played the big team, so we need someone in that ilk to come in, slide in, and kind of complete our midfield. So now it's looking like it's going to be Odegaard, Zubimendi, Rice, and that's a solid midfield. I'm not too excited with Zubimendi, but I'm also not, I'm not indifferent about it. I think he's a solid signing. We knew we were going to get him. Well, we say we're going to get him. We finally got him. So Zubimendi and Kepa, our first two signings, solid. We got guys in areas that we needed some covering and guys to kind of fill in for departed players. So I'm all right with that. Now, this is the big stuff. Gyokeres, right? Victor Gyokeres, the whole, that guy. Apparently, Arsenal are in advanced talks to sign him, and I couldn't be more excited. I am so excited with that signing because I told you guys in the last video, when it came to Gyokeres versus Sesko, I wanted a guy who scored 50 goals over a guy who scored 15 or 13. And it looks like Arsenal are going to get him, and I couldn't be more excited. That's the kind of signing that will galvanize the fans. That's the kind of signing that will get guys behind, Mikel Arteta, get guys behind Berta. It'll get guys behind the season. We want to see signings like that. That's the signing that we want, Victor Gyokeres, and I hope we can get over the line. I hope we can do it. And I hope the announcement comes soon. We're set to go preseason, I think, in the next week, maybe. And we would love for him to be on the preseason, with the guys getting ready for the season. And I am super, super, super excited about Victor Gyokeres. Another player that we've been linked with, Crystal Palace's Eberechi Eze, which I am gassed for. If we get Eze, I would love Eze at this club. Eze is a baller. I mean, he carried Crystal Palace to their first ever trophy. He scored in the final. He is an absolute baller. I wanted Elise before he went to Bayern Munich. And I would have loved Elise and Eze at the club, but obviously he went to Bayern. And we have a chance to sign Eze, and Eze is a silky baller. The guy is from North London. He knows, he's an Arsenal fan. He's been at our academy, so he's a hell-in guy. He knows the team. He knows the culture. He knows what it takes to be an Arsenal player. And just like Ian Wright, come from Crystal Palace to Arsenal, I think he'll be a star. If we can get that deal over the line, I would definitely love for Eze to be here. Also to give competition to Martin Odegaard. I think, I like Martin Odegaard. Martin Odegaard is one of the few players who I actually have on the back of one of my kits. But I'll be the first to admit that he was not on it this year. He was average at best. And I think part of that is not having competition. You know that you're going to start every week. And I think if Eze comes in, he's going to light a fire under Odegaard. And he's also going to light a fire under guys like Saka, under guys like Martinelli. Like, when you have someone who can play, both wings, or you have a guy who can play in the midfield, you know that if I'm having a bad day, this guy can come in and take over. And I think that's what we need in this team. And Eze will definitely give us that. I think Eze will definitely give Odegaard a run for his money. And then in a pinch, if we need someone to play a wing, I think Eze can play that. I wouldn't want him to play the wings primarily. I think he's great in the middle of the park. But I would definitely take Eze, because I think he's an absolute baller. And I would love to see it. I mean, if we got Eze and Gyokeres, and then maybe we're to get the next guy, Rodrygo, I'm buying all the merch. You see this, right? I'm buying every bit of merch from the army that I can possibly buy if we get that guy. So Rodrygo, apparently there's links that Rodrygo is talking to Arsenal, I guess. But nothing's going to happen until after Club World Cup. So Real Madrid ended up winning yesterday. I think they played Borussia Dortmund, the Bellingham brothers. And they won 3-2, so they're still in the Club World Cup. And I think that Rodrygo's not going to really do anything until after the Club World Cup, so he can see where he stands with Xabi Alonso and what's happening next. So I think if a Rodrygo move does happen, it's probably going to be like one of those deadline day moves, which I'm fine with. If we get Gyokeres, if we can get Eze, and then Rodrygo is a maybe until the end of the window, I'll take that. And if we don't get Rodrygo, I think we can go another season with Martinelli. I think if you have Martinelli feeding a guy who can actually score goals for fun, then I think we'll see a different Martinelli, not just hoofing balls up to Kai Havertz. I think putting in crosses and good passes to Gyokeres, who's finishing those passes, you'll see a better Martinelli. But with Rodrygo, if we can get him, Rodrygo, Gyokeres, Saka front line with Rice, Zubimendi, and Odegaard behind them, or Odegaard and Eze behind them, that's a crazy attack. Our defense is set. We got Miles Lewis-Skelly. We have Gabriel Magalhaes. We have William Saliba. We have Timber. Our backline set right back there. The whole defense, I think, is set. I think we have cover. Now, if we get Mosquera, as everyone's talking about, we still link with them with Mosquera from Valencia. I think he's good cover. You have Kivior, you have Mosquera. You got two decent center backs who can debutize other places across the back line. But that attack with Rodrygo, Gyokeres, and Saka, man, I'm buying merch like no tomorrow. Lastly but not leastly, we always get linked with the Chelsea player. And I thought that Kepa was going to be the one for this window. And lo and behold, we hear that Arteta is obsessed with Noni Madueke from Chelsea. I think he's a right winger. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. I am underwhelmed by that sign. I don't want any more Chelsea players. We have not had a good track record of Chelsea players. I think in the last 10 years since I've been a fan, the most solid Chelsea players are probably David Luiz and Petr Cech, and that is saying something because they were average. We've had Willian. We've had Kai Havertz. We've had Jorginho. I just don't want any more Chelsea players. Now, to kind of give the other side, as if I'm Arteta, I think I understand why he would be more inclined to go for it. These guys play in London. They know the Premier League. It's not that much for them to move. They're more likely to join your club. Chelsea's filled with youngsters as well. So maybe you can poach one or poach two. Noni Madueke for me is not it, though. He's not. If you're going to get Cole Palmer, yes. If you're going to get someone of that ilk, I'll take that. But that's not my Noni Madueke for me. And apparently, Chelsea value him at £50 million, which is crazy. £50 million for Noni Madueke, and he hasn't scored more than 15 goals. Nah, I don't want it. If we spend £50 million, we are cooked. I don't want Noni Madueke. Now, if we get him for $20 million as a backup to Saka, I'm not too excited, but he's someone that can do the job, and maybe he can learn a little bit. Fine. But $50 million? Nah, that's not happening. We should not go anywhere near Chelsea and Noni Madueke for £50 million. And apparently, Arsenal feel the same. So, unless they're going to lower that valuation for an average player, because he's average right now, nah, I don't want him. I don't want Noni Madueke, so it's a no for me. But it's shaping up to be a better window. After our window started on the 1st, it's looking like Arsenal are getting business. We're moving business forward. You hear more from guys like Fabrizio and Ben Jacobs that deals are advancing, and that's what you want to hear. You want to hear that we're in the final stages of deals and we're getting them over the line. We don't want to hear the I'm linked with or we're close to or we're approaching. I don't want that. We're at the point in the window before preseason. We want to see guys in. And I think Gyokeres can't be the only one that's in. We have to get a left winger. We have to get some, attacking mid help. So if we just get Gyokeres and that's it, I won't be happy with that window. Now, if we get a left winger, Gyokeres, and some attacking midfield help, that's a solid window for me. I think we'll actually have enough of a team to compete. And that brings a close to another Transfer Tango, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Remember, like and subscribe. And if you want to hear more, you know what to do.